Welcome back to the Vital Signpost, our last deep dive on sleep. We explored some consequences of sleep deprivation and, how modern society, with its emphasis on productivity, often clashes with our biological need for rest. But today we're shifting gears,
Mm.
to examine the fascinating evolutionary history of sleep and the surprising diversity of sleep patterns that we see across the animal kingdom.
Yeah,
Get ready to have your assumptions challenged because it turns out sleep isn't just a human thing
right.
or even a mammalian thing. It's a fundamental biological process that's been woven into the very fabric of life for millions of years.
It is.
So buckle up and let's embark on this journey through the evolution of sleep. Starting with, the most fundamental question of all, just how universal is sleep?
What's fascinating is that sleep, or at least a state that closely resembles sleep, is found in every animal with a nervous system that scientists have studied. We're talking about a vast spectrum of life, from insects and fish to reptiles and birds. It seems that wherever we find a brain, we find a need for sleep.
That's incredible. It really highlights how essential sleep must be to the basic functioning of a nervous system.
Yeah.
But what about even simpler creatures, those without complex brains? Do they also experience something, like sleep?
There's evidence to suggest that even primitive creatures, like worms, exhibit periods of inactivity that share striking similarities with sleep. These periods, often called lethargous, involve a decrease in movement and responsiveness to stimuli, much like what we see in sleeping animals.
Okay.
While we can't definitively say that worms are sleeping in the same way that humans do, the presence of these lethargic states suggests that the fundamental mechanisms underlying sleep may have emerged very early in evolutionary history, perhaps even predating the evolution of complex brains.
That's mind-boggling. To think that sleep, or at least a precursor to it, could
Ye-
be older than the dinosaurs is a real paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if sleep wasn't a later adaptation to wakefulness, but rather the original state of being for early life on Earth.
It's an interesting thought.
But let's move on to another intriguing aspect of sleep: the sheer diversity of sleep patterns across different species.
Right.
It turns out that not all sleep is created equal.
Right.
We humans seem to think that 8 hours of sleep is the magic number.
Right.
But for other animals, it can be much more or even much less.
That's right. When we look at the animal kingdom, we see an astounding range of sleep durations, with some species thriving on just a few hours of shut-eye, while others spend the majority of their lives asleep. Take elephants, for example. These massive creatures seem to get by just fine on a mere 4 hours of sleep per day.
Hmm.
On the other end of the spectrum, we have animals like tigers, who indulge in around 15 hours of slumber each day. And then there are the true champions of sleep, like brown bats, who spend a whopping 19 hours a day in a state of suspended animation.
19 hours. I can barely manage 8 on most days.
Hmm.
It seems counterintuitive that animals with such different lifestyles and energy demands would have such varied sleep needs.
It does.
You might think that larger animals would need more sleep,
Right.
or that predators would sleep less to stay alert.
It's tempting to draw those kinds of simple correlations, but the reality is far more complex. While body size and predator-prey relationships certainly play a role, they're just two pieces of a much larger puzzle. A species' sleep duration is influenced by an intricate interplay of factors, including its diet, social behavior, metabolic rate, and the complexity of its nervous system.
Hmm.
Each species has evolved a sleep pattern that is uniquely tailored to its ecological niche and survival needs.
So there's no one-size-fits-all formula for sleep.
Exactly.
It's about finding the right balance for each species.
Yeah.
But what about the different stages of sleep, like REM and non-REM? Do all animals experience these stages in the same way that we do?
That's another area where we see remarkable variation across the animal kingdom. Non-REM sleep, the stage characterized by slow brain waves and deep relaxation, appears to be universal, found in every species that has been studied.
Okay.
However, REM sleep, the stage associated with dreaming in humans, is primarily observed in birds and mammals. It's during this stage that our brains become highly active, almost as if we're awake, and our eyes dart back and forth beneath closed lids, giving rise to the term rapid eye movement.
It's fascinating that REM sleep, a stage that seems so crucial to our cognitive function and emotional processing, isn't shared by all creatures.
Hmm.
What about aquatic mammals like dolphins and whales? They face a unique challenge, needing to surface regularly for air.
Hmm.
Do they experience REM sleep in the same way that land mammals do?
The sleep patterns of aquatic mammals have long puzzled scientists, and there's still much that we don't know. Studying brain activity in freely swimming dolphins and whales is a formidable task, so it's difficult to say definitively whether they experience traditional REM sleep.
That makes sense. It's not like they can just lie down for a nap. But even if they aren't getting REM sleep in the classic sense, they must have some way of resting and restoring their brains. Have scientists observed any unique adaptations in their sleep patterns?
They have indeed. Aquatic mammals have evolved a remarkable strategy called unihemispheric sleep, which essentially allows them to sleep with only one half of their brain at a time. While one hemisphere remains awake to control essential functions like breathing and surfacing, the other hemisphere enters a sleep state. Then they switch sides, allowing both hemispheres to get some much-needed rest without ever becoming fully unconscious.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a built-in night shift for your brain. It's a brilliant adaptation that allows them to meet both their physiological needs for sleep and their environmental demands for vigilance. I'm curious, are there other examples of animals that have developed, unique sleep adaptations to survive in challenging environments?
There are. We've already discussed brown bats and their impressive 19-hour sleep marathons. But when it comes to pushing the boundaries of sleep deprivation, migrating birds are truly in a league of their own.
Migrating birds.
Yeah.
That's right. They undertake incredible journeys, often flying for days or even weeks without stopping. How do they manage to function, let alone navigate and avoid predators with such minimal sleep?
They've developed an extraordinary ability to power nap in mid-flight. These micro-sleep episodes, lasting just a few seconds at a time, are enough to prevent the catastrophic consequences of prolonged sleep deprivation. It's like they're taking tiny siestas in the sky, just enough to recharge their batteries and keep going.
It's amazing how adaptable sleep can be.
It is.
But even among these extreme sleepers, there's one bird that stands out as truly exceptional, the white-crowned sparrow.
I understand that this seemingly ordinary little bird has caught the attention of the U.S. military. What makes it so special?
During its annual migration, which can span thousands of miles, the white-crowned sparrow exhibits an astonishing resilience to sleep deprivation. It can go for days with very little sleep, functioning almost normally without exhibiting the cognitive and physical impairments that would cripple most other animals, including humans.
So it's like they've found a way to switch off the negative effects of sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
It's no wonder the military is interested. I imagine they're hoping to learn how to replicate that ability in soldiers,
Okay.
enabling them to operate at peak performance for extended periods without needing sleep. But has anyone figured out how they do it? Unfortunately, the white-crowned sparrow's secret remains largely a mystery. While scientists are actively studying these birds, to unravel the neural and genetic mechanisms underlying their sleep deprivation resilience, there are no easy answers. It's likely a complex interplay of multiple factors, and it may be some time before we fully understand how they manage to defy the conventional limits of sleep.
It's fascinating to think that this tiny bird could hold the key to unlocking a whole new understanding of sleep and its potential. It just goes to show how much we still have to learn about this fundamental aspect of life. So we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring the remarkable diversity of sleep patterns across the animal kingdom and the incredible adaptations that some species have developed to meet their unique needs. But now I'd like to turn our attention to ourselves. How do human sleep patterns compare to those of our primate cousins? And what makes our sleep unique?
That's a great question, and one that gets to the heart of what makes us human. When we compare ourselves to other primates, particularly our closest ape relatives, we stand out as something of an anomaly in the sleep world.
Oh, how so? Do we sleep more than other primates?
Actually, we sleep significantly less. While most primates enjoy 10, 12, even 15 hours of sleep per day, humans typically get by on a meager 7 to 8 hours. But it's not just about the quantity of sleep, it's about the composition, the types of sleep stages that dominate our sleep cycle.
Interesting. So what's different about the way humans sleep?
We have a much higher proportion of REM sleep, the stage associated with vivid dreaming, than any other primate. While our ape cousins dedicate around 9% of their sleep time to REM, humans spend a whopping 20 to 25% of our sleep immersed in this dream-filled state.
So less overall sleep, but more time spent dreaming.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating paradox. What could explain this difference? Is it simply a quirk of human evolution, or is there a deeper reason for this unique sleep pattern?
Well, one of the prevailing theories has to do with the way humans evolved to sleep. Unlike most primates who spend their nights nestled in the branches of trees or in cozy nests, Humans made a dramatic shift in our evolutionary history. We transitioned to sleeping on the ground.
That's right. I remember learning about how the control of fire played a key role in that transition. But how would sleeping on the ground affect our sleep patterns?
This shift to ground sleeping had a profound impact on our evolution, particularly on the way we sleep. Without the need to constantly be on guard against falling from a precarious perch, our ancestors could finally relax more deeply into sleep, especially into the muscle-paralyzing state of REM. This newfound safety allowed us to pack more REM sleep into a shorter overall sleep duration, creating a more efficient and intense sleep experience.
So our unique sleep pattern, with its emphasis on REM sleep, is essentially a byproduct of our evolutionary history, our descent from the trees to the safety of the ground.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what impact this shift has had on our development as a species.
That's a question that has captivated scientists for decades. And as we learn more about the profound effects of REM sleep on the brain, particularly its role in emotional regulation, memory consolidation, and creative problem solving, a compelling narrative is emerging. The transition from tree to ground sleeping, fueled by the control of fire, may have unlocked a cascade of evolutionary advantages for humans, with REM sleep as a key driver.
This is where it gets really interesting. Are you suggesting that our increased REM sleep compared to other primates gave us an evolutionary edge, paving the way for our complex social structures, our emotional intelligence, and even our creativity?
It's certainly a compelling possibility. Think about it. REM sleep is where we process emotions, consolidate memories, and make novel connections between seemingly disparate pieces of information. It's like a nightly workout for our brains, strengthening our capacity for empathy, problem solving, and innovation. And these are precisely the traits that have allowed humans to build complex societies, develop advanced technologies, and create art and music.
It's fascinating to think that something as seemingly simple as sleeping on the ground could have had such far-reaching consequences for our species. It makes those late-night bursts of inspiration feel almost like an echo of our evolutionary past, a reminder of the power of REM sleep to shape our minds and drive our progress. But as we've discussed in previous episodes, our modern world often seems to be at odds with our biological need for sleep, especially for that REM-rich sleep that's been so crucial to our evolution. We'll explore this tension in more detail in the next part of this deep dive. But for now, I'd like to shift gears slightly and delve into another intriguing aspect of human sleep, our natural inclination toward a biphasic sleep pattern.
Right.
We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back to the Vital Signpost. Before the break, we were discussing the evolution of human sleep and the unique advantages of our REM-rich sleep patterns. Now we're going to explore another fascinating aspect of human sleep, its biphasic nature. Biphasic sleep, I've heard that term before, but could you explain what it means?
Of course. Biphasic sleep refers to a sleep pattern that is divided into two distinct segments: a longer sleep period at night, followed by a shorter nap in the afternoon.
Like the traditional siesta in some cultures.
Exactly.
It does seem that humans are naturally inclined to feel sleepy in the afternoon, especially after a meal. Is there a biological basis for this post-lunch slump?
Absolutely. That irresistible urge to doze off in the afternoon, often referred to as the postprandial alertness dip, isn't just a matter of habit or cultural tradition. It's a biological phenomenon that's deeply rooted in our evolutionary history. Before the advent of electricity and the demands of modern life, our ancestors in pre-industrial societies naturally followed a biphasic sleep pattern. They'd have a longer sleep period at night, followed by a shorter nap in the afternoon, a pattern that aligns perfectly with our natural circadian rhythms.
That makes sense. But nowadays, most of us power through that afternoon drowsiness with coffee or sheer willpower. Have we lost something valuable by abandoning this biphasic sleep pattern? Is there any evidence that maintaining a siesta tradition is beneficial for our health?
There is growing evidence to suggest that we have indeed lost something valuable by abandoning our natural biphasic sleep rhythms. Studies have shown that cultures that have maintained a siesta tradition, such as those in parts of Mediterranean Europe and South America, tend to have lower rates of heart disease.
So taking a nap could actually be good for our hearts.
It appears so.
I have to admit, I've always felt a bit guilty indulging in an afternoon nap, as if it were a sign of laziness.
It's time to shed that guilt. A fascinating study of Greek adults found that those who abandoned their regular siestas had a significantly higher risk of dying from heart disease compared to those who continued napping. The findings were particularly striking for working men, who saw their risk increase by over 60% when they gave up their afternoon naps.
60%. That's a pretty compelling argument for bringing back the siesta. It seems counterintuitive that taking time out of our busy days to rest could actually improve our health.
Our modern obsession with productivity often leads us to believe that we must push ourselves to the limit, even when our bodies are signaling a need for rest. But as we delve deeper into the science of sleep, we're discovering that honoring our natural sleep rhythms, including that midday dip in alertness, is not a sign of weakness, but a key to optimal health and well-being.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes slowing down is the best way to move forward. So we've established that humans have a natural inclination towards a biphasic sleep pattern, and deviating from this pattern could have negative consequences for our health. But I'm curious about the evolutionary advantages of biphasic sleep. How did this pattern benefit our ancestors, and what role might it have played in shaping the human species?
That's a great question. It's important to remember that our ancestors lived in a vastly different environment than we do today. They faced daily challenges and threats that we can hardly imagine, from foraging for food and finding shelter to avoiding predators and navigating complex social dynamics. Biphasic sleep may have provided them with several key advantages in this demanding environment.
What kinds of advantages?
For one, a midday nap would have offered a crucial opportunity for rest and recuperation, allowing them to replenish their energy reserves and consolidate memories from the morning's activities. This would have been especially important in hot climates where physical exertion during the hottest part of the day could be dangerous.
It's like a built-in system for preventing burnout
Right,
and optimizing performance.
exactly. Additionally, a biphasic sleep pattern may have enhanced social bonding and cooperation within early human groups. The quiet time together during the afternoon nap could have facilitated communication, shared storytelling, and the strengthening of social ties.
So it wasn't just about physical rest,
Right.
but also about social and cognitive restoration. It seems that biphasic sleep was woven into the very fabric of their lives, supporting their survival on multiple levels.
Precisely. It wasn't simply a luxury. It was a necessity, an integral part of their daily rhythm and their overall well-being.
It makes you wonder if we've lost more than just a good nap by abandoning this ancient sleep pattern. We've potentially disrupted a delicate balance that has been finely tuned over millions of years of evolution. But let's delve a bit deeper into the specific evolutionary advantages that biphasic sleep might have conferred on our ancestors. You mentioned memory consolidation and social bonding, but what other benefits might have risen from this unique sleep pattern?
Well, one intriguing area of research focuses on the potential role of biphasic sleep in enhancing creativity and problem-solving abilities. As we discussed earlier, REM sleep is a hotbed of neural activity, where our brains make novel connections between seemingly disparate pieces of information. This process can lead to those aha moments of insight and creative breakthroughs.
So you're suggesting that the afternoon nap,
Yeah.
with its potential for REM sleep, could have provided our ancestors with a cognitive boost, allowing them to tackle challenges with fresh perspectives and innovative solutions.
It's certainly a possibility worth considering. Imagine a group of early humans gathered around a fire, sharing stories and ideas during their afternoon nap. Those moments of quiet reflection, punctuated by bursts of REM-fueled insight, could have fostered a collective creativity that drove innovation and problem solving within the group.
It's fascinating to imagine how this ancient sleep pattern might have shaped the very essence of human ingenuity. It paints a picture of a time when rest and creativity were intertwined, not seen as opposing forces as they often are in our modern world, but as we've seen, our modern lifestyles have largely disrupted this natural rhythm.
Pushing us toward a monophasic sleep pattern that prioritizes wakefulness and productivity above all else. Are there other unique aspects of human sleep that distinguish us from our primate cousins and that might have contributed to our evolutionary success? There are. And one of the most intriguing aspects is the transition from tree to ground sleeping that we discussed earlier. This shift, made possible by the control of fire, had a profound impact on human evolution, not just in terms of our sleep patterns, but also in terms of our cognitive and social development.
It seems that that fire played a pivotal role in shaping the human story. But how exactly did the transition to ground sleeping influence our evolution?
Well, fire provided warmth and protection from predators,
Yeah.
which allowed our ancestors to venture out of the trees and onto the open savanna. This transition exposed them to new challenges and opportunities, forcing them to adapt and innovate in order to survive.
So it wasn't just about finding a safer place to sleep. It was about venturing into a new world, a world that demanded greater intelligence, creativity, and social cooperation.
Precisely. And as our ancestors adapted to this new environment, their brains underwent significant changes, becoming larger and more complex. This increased brain size and complexity in turn demanded a more efficient and restorative sleep, particularly REM sleep, which, as we've discussed, plays a crucial role in memory consolidation, emotional processing, and cognitive flexibility.
So the transition to ground sleeping, facilitated by fire, created a positive feedback loop. It drove brain development, which in turn required more REM sleep,
Yeah.
which further enhanced brain function and so on.
Exactly. And this feedback loop may have played a crucial role in shaping the unique cognitive abilities that distinguish humans from other primates.
It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as sleeping on the ground under the watchful gaze of a fire could have set in motion a cascade of evolutionary events that ultimately led to the emergence of human consciousness as we know it.
It is. It's a humbling reminder of the interconnectedness of our biology and our environment, and the profound influence that even subtle shifts in our behavior can have on the course of evolution.
This brings us to another fascinating question. We've talked about how the transition to ground sleeping and the control of fire allowed for deeper, more restful sleep, particularly REM sleep. But how did this impact our social structures and our interactions with each other? Was uh, was there a link between these changes in our sleep patterns and the development of the complex social networks that characterize human societies?
That's a very insightful question, and one that anthropologists and evolutionary biologists have been exploring for decades. There's growing evidence to suggest that transition to ground sleeping,
Right.
coupled with the safety and social cohesion provided by fire, may have played a significant role in shaping the unique social structures that define us as humans. Well, imagine a group of early humans gathered around a campfire at night. The warmth and flickering light would have created a sense of security and togetherness, fostering a sense of community and shared purpose. This nightly ritual, repeated over generations, may have laid the foundation for the complex social bonds and cooperative behaviors that distinguish humans from other primates.
It's like the campfire became a crucible for human social evolution, a place where bonds were forged, stories were shared, and a sense of collective identity emerged.
Precisely, and this enhanced social cohesion, made possible by the control of fire and the transition to ground sleeping, may have had profound implications for human survival and success.
In what ways? How did stronger social bonds contribute to our evolutionary fitness?
Humans, unlike most other primates, are highly cooperative creatures. We rely on each other for survival, sharing food, resources, and knowledge. This cooperative spirit is at the heart of our ability to build complex societies, develop advanced technologies, and thrive in diverse environments. And it all may have its roots in those early gatherings around the campfire, where the seeds of human sociality were sown.
It's a beautiful and inspiring thought that our capacity for love, compassion, and cooperation may be woven into the very fabric of our evolutionary history, forged in the warmth of firelight and nurtured by the shared experience of sleep. But let's shift our focus back to the present. As we've discussed, our modern lifestyles have often disrupted these ancient rhythms, leading us to neglect our sleep and prioritize wakefulness above all else. In the next part of this deep dive, we'll explore the consequences of this sleep deprivation epidemic, and examine how we can reclaim our right to rest, restoring a balance that is both ancient and essential. Welcome back to the Vital Signpost. We've been on quite a journey exploring the evolution of sleep across the animal kingdom. It's been fascinating to uncover the diverse ways that animals sleep and the remarkable adaptations they've developed to survive in challenging environments. But perhaps the most intriguing revelation has been the unique evolution of human sleep and the profound impact that sleep, particularly REM sleep, has had on shaping our species.
Indeed, the transition from tree to ground sleeping, fueled by the control of fire, appears to have unlocked a cascade of evolutionary advantages for humans. Our increased REM sleep compared to other primates may have paved the way for our complex social structures, emotional intelligence, and even our creativity.
It makes you wonder, are those late night bursts of inspiration actually echoes of ancient evolutionary pressures, whispers from a time when sleep and creativity were intertwined?
That's a thought-provoking question and one worth pondering. Perhaps our modern obsession with productivity, our relentless pursuit of wakefulness, is at odds with the very thing that helped make us so successful as a species.
It's a sobering thought. We've spent this entire deep dive marveling at the power of sleep, its
Mm.
ancient origins, its remarkable diversity, and its profound influence on our evolution. And yet here we are in a world that often seems determined to deny us the rest we so desperately need. We glorify busyness. We wear our sleep deprivation as a badge of honor, and we sacrifice rest in the pursuit of ever elusive goals.
It's as if we've forgotten that sleep is not a luxury, but a fundamental biological necessity, as
Yeah.
essential to our well-being as breathing, eating, or drinking.
We're like fish out of water,
Yeah.
struggling to survive in an environment that's fundamentally at odds with our biological programming.
That's a powerful analogy, and the consequences uh, of this disconnect are all around us. We see it in the rising rates of sleep disorders, the increasing prevalence of chronic diseases linked to sleep deprivation, and the growing sense of fatigue and burnout that permeates our society.
It's a silent epidemic, slowly eroding our health, our well-being, and our very humanity.
And what's particularly concerning is that we're not just depriving ourselves of sleep. We're also disrupting our natural sleep rhythms. Those ancient patterns that have been finely tuned over millions of years of evolution.
You're referring to the biphasic sleep pattern that we discussed earlier.
Mhm.
That natural inclination towards a midday nap that has been largely abandoned in our modern monophasic world.
Precisely. We've replaced the siesta with coffee breaks and energy drinks, pushing ourselves to stay awake and productive even when our bodies are crying out for rest.
But as we've seen, honoring our natural sleep rhythms, embracing the biphasic pattern, maybe more than just a matter of personal preference or cultural tradition. It could be a key to unlocking optimal health and well-being,
Yeah.
reducing our risk of heart disease, enhancing our cognitive function, and even boosting our creativity.
Indeed. It's time to reclaim our right to rest, to recognize that sleep is not a sign of weakness, but a source of strength. It's time to shift our perspective, to see sleep as an investment in our health and happiness, not as an indulgence to be squeezed into the margins of our busy lives.
But how do we make this shift? How do we reconcile our modern lifestyles with our ancient need for sleep in a world that constantly demands more, faster,
Yeah.
better?
It starts with awareness. We need to educate ourselves about the science of sleep, to understand the profound impact that it has on our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. We need to challenge the societal norms that glorify sleep deprivation and prioritize busyness above all else.
It's about making conscious choices that prioritize sleep, establishing consistent sleep-wake cycles, creating relaxing bedtime routines, and even reintroducing that midday nap that our bodies crave.
And it's about creating a culture that values rest, that recognizes the importance of disconnecting, of slowing down, of allowing ourselves to simply be.
It's a radical idea in our hyper-connected, always-on world, but perhaps it's the most radical act of self-care we can undertake.
Indeed. It's a return to our roots, a rediscovery of an ancient wisdom that has been obscured by the noise and demands of modern life.
Wow, what an incredible journey through the world of sleep, from ancient worms to high-flying birds. It's clear that sleep is a fundamental force shaping life on this planet.
What fascinates me most is how evolution has tailored sleep to the specific needs of each species. It's a testament to sleep's adaptability, and its essential role in survival.
And who could have imagined the profound impact sleep, particularly REM sleep, has had on human evolution? It's like a secret ingredient in the recipe for our cognitive and social success.
Indeed. The transition from tree to ground sleeping, fueled by the safety of fire, appears to have unlocked a cascade of evolutionary advantages for humans.
Our increased REM sleep compared to other primates may have paved the way for our complex social structures, emotional intelligence, and even our creativity. Makes
Hmm.
you wonder, are those late night bursts of inspiration actually the echoes of ancient evolutionary pressures?
That's a thought-provoking question, and one worth pondering. Perhaps our modern obsession with productivity is at odds with the very thing that helped make us so successful as a species.
Food for thought indeed. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the evolution and diversity of sleep. We hope you've gained some valuable insights into the amazing world of slumber. And remember, next time you feel the urge for an afternoon nap, don't resist. It might just be your ancient ancestors whispering wisdom from millions of years ago. As we conclude this deep dive into the evolution of sleep, we're left with a profound sense of awe and wonder at the intricate tapestry of life on Earth, from the tiniest insects to the largest whales. Sleep has shaped the course of evolution, driving adaptation, innovation, and the emergence of consciousness itself. And as we navigate the complexities of modern life, it's essential to remember that sleep is not a luxury, but a fundamental pillar of our well-being, a gift from our evolutionary past, and a key to unlocking our full potential. So embrace the power of sleep, honor your natural rhythms,
And let the wisdom of millions of years guide you towards a life of balance, restoration, and profound connection with the ancient rhythms of the natural world.